Good morning. As you can see, I have hay nets laid out in front of me. I use hay nets pretty much everywhere except for where I can't. I've got a couple of paddocks that don't have anywhere to hang them, so I do have to put hay on the ground out there. But otherwise, I use hay nets in all the stalls, the paddocks that I can, because I love them because one, my hay usage my hay usage goes way down, because the horses aren't wasting it. If they don't eat it all, it's still in the net, and I can bring it in and either just reuse it in someone else's net or reuse it in the same net or whatever. So I love it for that reason. And I also love them because it makes the horses eat a little bit more slowly. All of these hay nets have roughly the same size holes. These are sort of intermediate holes, like they do make nets with much larger holes, which I don't understand, because if the ones that are just like a big, like really wide webbed holes, it doesn't do any good. The hay just falls out of them, and it doesn't keep the horse eating any slower. So I don't understand those ones at all. And they do make some with smaller holes, which I have used, but even like the gentlest eater will chew through those in a matter of not very long. Because I had one that it only lasted me a couple of months. These four particular hay nets I've been using for, gosh, quite a while now. This one is a Hay Chicks hay net. It's really thick rope. They're very sturdy. I really like how sturdy they are. And the other thing what I like about them is you fill them from the bottom. So as the hung like this, and then if the horse leaves any hay behind, which Red did a little bit, you undo the bottom, and that hay goes up to the top. So horses generally eat their hay from the top down. So the older hay gets pushed up to the top, which I really like, and it's got a nice big wide thing. They're easy to fill. These are the most expensive though. This one is like $35–40, but they last a long time. I think Red's had this net for at least a year, and there's not even any tear in it at all. So yeah, they last a long time. This is my favorite hay net. I like these. I believe they're Shires. They're like $16. What I like about them is they're easy to fill. So when you fill them, all you have to do is like put them on the ground like this, put in a flake, and they kind of keep their shape because of these metal rings. And then you just like pull it up around the flakes. They fit about, each of these nets fits about three or four flakes, depending on the size of the flake. And these come in all kinds of fun colors too. These last two are pretty much the same. These are from, every once in a while you can find these. They're pretty similar to the Shires ones. They're the same webbing and weaving and the same fabric, but they don't have the metal rings. And these ones you can find every so often on different sites for like $4, which is pretty awesome. And I have a whole bunch of these as backups. Every time I find them for $4 online somewhere, I'll buy 4 or 5 of them just to have. because the horses do go through them eventually. They do bite through these, and you can make them last a little bit longer. I'll sometimes, if they like bite a hole in it, I'll tie it with some baling twine and make it last, you know, another couple of weeks. But yeah, these I like too, just because they're really cheap, and if you don't have a really, if you have a horse that really digs into their hay net, you probably want to go with the Hay Chicks one, because those are going to last longer. But if you have more gentle eaters, these will do you for a while. I think Glory's had this for, gosh, since the winter at least, and there aren't no holes in it. So, and those are my favorite hay nets. I've used others here and there, but those are the ones I like the best. Nice range of prices, depending on what your horse likes and how your horse eats. You can go, you know, there's all different kinds. So yeah, I hope that it was informative in terms of hay nets. Some people don't like them because they feel like when it's hung, the horse doesn't, they have their head at an unnatural angle, and it can make them tight in their neck and pull. I hang these rather low, so their heads are close to the ground, and it's more of a natural head position. Which my horses, they don't have shoes, so it's not a big deal for them. If horses have shoes, there is a slight you know, chance that they might get a hoof caught in the webbing, but I have not actually experienced any horse have that happen. So, and the other thing you can do, and I have done with horses without shoes, is I'll tie this up really well and make sure the rope is, you know, secured around so it's not, you know, just hanging out, and I'll put them on the ground. I've done that too. So you don't have to buy like the special, you know, hay pillow that's like $60 or whatever. You can just put these on the ground. Just make sure that this is secured so that the horse doesn't like stick a leg through it or something. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. I hope it was informative. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit subscribe, and I will have more of these types of videos where I go over different products that I use around the barn a lot.